Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of What Now? I am so sorry I did not make it last Wednesday because I was suffering from a terrible migraine all day and I really couldn't move. Just as I was telling everybody that I never cancel a talk. I had to. Couldn't do it. So had to move it, and instead of moving it to next week because I'm pretty much full booked, I moved it to today. So hopefully I have some type of audience today because I know this is not my regular time slot or day, but I'm sure everybody will want to watch this on Friday as well. And, if anything, you can watch later because it'll be on my IG live, on my IGTV channel. I'm sorry. See, I'm still a little off. Today I have another great inspiring guest, Mr. Mic Handz. Hopefully he'll tune in a minute. It doesn't seem like people are tuning in. This Friday might not be a good day for me, but we had to pick a day to get this live started. So Lou, thank you for hey, there's another Lou. There's two Lou's in here now. Thanks for joining. Okay, maybe it was Instagram having to let people know that I'm live today. Again, this is not my regular time slot or my regular day. Fridays, we'll see how this goes. What's up, Robert? What's up, sis? I see you. Yes, my guest today, Mic Handz. I'm sorry. I was supposed to do this on Wednesday. Didn't happen because I was suffering from a terrible migraine all day. Usually they fade away after the day continues, but this one was just sticking around and didn't let me go. But thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Let's see how my guest is doing today. And I'm so happy that he was able to do today, so we didn't have to dance around all these our schedules. Mr. Mic Handz, let's get him in here and see what he has been up to. A lot, probably. What's up?
Hey, how's
in
it
the
going?
Car?
Yeah, I had
I'm
to do
good.
it that way. They're
How are
doing
you? Thank you
in my
so
house.
much.
Yeah, I had to tune in
What's
with
that?
you.
I can't hear you.
Like I said, they're doing construction in the house, so I had to come outside.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well,
they're
we got you now. I'm so sorry about Wednesday, but I'm happy that I caught you. Let's hope that Friday is a good time for people to tune in as well. But if anything, people will actually be able to watch back. So it's never lost on anybody. What's up, Rick? I see you. I see you, Courtney. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in on a Friday. My regular times and days are Mondays and Wednesdays, but I could not let this great guest pass me by. Mr. Mic Handz, how are you doing?
I'm okay today. It's a good day. Yeah, definitely a good day. I'm happy to be here. Happy to check in with you. Just inviting a couple of people, see if anybody get the kite.
Yes.
Yeah, just it's a good day. Productive. Doing a lot of client work. I'm technically still on the clock for my day job, so salute my team. That gives me the room to step out to do things like this, especially when we're talking about the things we talk about. So, yeah.
Right.
Good.
Thanks. So for the people that are actually tuning in through you or maybe for the first time here, I started this What Now platforms, this series actually when the pandemic started a year ago. I've been doing this over a year already. This is like my 90th something interview. Is basically because the creative industry was completely shut down, mainly musicians and artists that are touring and stuff, shows are canceled and whatnot. And this was a way to inspire people to feel out how everybody was dealing with the same thing worldwide. It was inspiring people. It was giving people motivation to do things and ideas, how to go about their lives, how to find new income streams, or even how to be mentally okay. So my first question to my guests is always, how did the pandemic affect you personally and professionally?
First of all, salute everybody that did tune in. I see you guys. Salute. Personally, I deal with health concerns anyway, so I fell under the population that's considered pre-existing, what I mean, with pre-existing health conditions. So, I had a standing appointment 3 times a week at a dialysis center. So when they shut the city down, I had to get a notification that was kind of to be a pass for me in the medical transportation in case we got stopped by the police or anything of the sort. So it affected me right away. before the pandemic even got a chance to get hold, just the idea of the pandemic affected me right away.
Right.
Because there's no choice. I have no dialysis machine in my home, even though you do have an option to do PT, which is a home dialysis scenario, but that's not what I was on. I was on hemo. So I go to the clinic. So there was that version. And then, of course, the anxiety that comes along with that. Like, what does it mean? What do you mean you guys don't know what to do about it? What do you mean there's no cure for it? What do you mean there's no vaccine? What do you mean? You know, so it's the whole question scenario, right? The who, what, where, why, when, and that whole
the not knowing. Yeah.
Now I deal with not knowing different. I don't believe we're supposed to know everything. So because of that, I take life as it comes. So I never felt like I was slighted by not knowing something. However, remember, I'm coming from a space where I'm living with an illness that I'm learning as I go. So I'm already trained for not knowing, right?
Right.
But it definitely was an uncertainty because it shook what you did know.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, how do I fit? What does this mean for me getting my medication? They're saying it can live on surfaces. So is my medication bottles going to be infected when they get here? How do I get food? When food gets here, like we're literally Lysoling delivery bags. They come in Amazon packages, the mail. We had everybody in my personal network, and I see some of my network just jumped in here. We all have like Sandy stations by the door when you walk in. They were hyper vigilant in my house. Like you had to go beeline straight to the bathroom, wash your hands and your face. We were considering buying bulk packs of t-shirts, so you had to change your top shirt. You definitely had to take your coat off. Then they said it could be on your shoes. So then that started to become a thing. It was that. Professionally, now, from a work standpoint, 9 to 5, I'm an advocate. I work in the healthcare field by way of advocating for people with mental health concerns, right? That have experience in that space. So with that, I'll commend my job. My job shifted to a remote protocol that never existed. Because clearly no one's ever been through this, right? So the management team from my level and up went to work with DOH and OMH, which is the Office of Mental Health and Hygiene, and the Department of Health, and they came up with a remote protocol and sent the entire staff, all 130 people, home with pay. Then a part of our programs, we work off, but we're mobile anyway because we go from site to site. So our computer, our work phone, and everything is in our bag. There's another, out of the 16 programs, it's another 12 that don't have that. My job materialized laptops and phones for everybody. All the upper management went and made personal deliveries to everyone's home to drop these phones in so that they could have an excuse to keep you working. They came up with these group protocols and telehealth protocols so that way we could justify to DOH why we needed to keep getting our grant in and we're still fulfilling our contract so that we can continue to pay everyone. So that I commend, Baltic Street, which is the company I work for, AEH, for definitely jumping into that vein. Musically, that part of my career sucked.
Yes.
So now, creative-wise, my studio's in my home.
Yeah.
I just picked up the keys to my new commercial space 2 days before I went into surgery. That's another part of the situation. So I hadn't stepped into there until 6 months later. But recording wasn't a problem. I literally started this COVID 48. Every 48 hours, I dropped a new freestyle. I would come on live and let the people on live pick the beat, and I would write and record it on live.
Wow.
And then put it out every 2 days. So that worked for me. But I also had shows in Chile. Me and Rockness Monster, we had, and Bo Black, we have together, we travel as Monster Nation to support Rockness. So we had a Chile show, we had a Colombia show in Bogota, we had a few things lined up. I had my first Fresh Air Festival. I had a couple of things. Like this was going to be my festival year for 2021 that I was getting invited to do these festival stages that I've been stalking forever.
A lot of people, yeah.
So finally, I'm getting calls like, yo, I'm gonna bring you, I need you to come either wingman for me, or I got a slot for you, or whatever the version. I'm getting to that stage. I'm coming. 2020 hit. My album was supposed to drop March 2020. I did the listening session. I did the listening party in February 22nd, 2020. And March 2020, the world shuts down.
Going your whole tour. Yep.
My team is like, well, let's put it out anyway. I said, how? I don't know what this means.
Right.
So we hadn't mastered the Zoom space yet. We hadn't mastered what the IG Live platform would be.
We were figuring it out.
So you're telling me to throw my album that took me 2.5 years to make, and I recorded on 2 continents. Like, this is an important album for me personally.
Yeah.
You want me to throw this into the abyss called COVID? We're not doing that. So we dropped the album, and then honestly, other than those freestyles, I put nothing out for 2020. So coming off of the run with Rock, coming off everything we were doing, I'm gearing up, even going back to, rest in peace Prodigy, right before Prodigy passed, coming off the heels of the Hell on Earth tour. All of that built momentum because I used every little bit to try to set something else up, set something in place. So all of this is leading up to the visibility that gets me invited to do these festivals. And now everything's off the table.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then my booking company. So me and my partner, Gage, we have a booking company, and we had bookings. We had R-Ray the Rugged Man and Afro booked in Chile. We had
because I know R.A. dropped his new album in April, right, in COVID as well, because all his stuff got canceled. I did a talk with him as well last year.
One of the shows was mine. We booked it in Chile. So now I'm dealing with promoters all year to figure out, are we reimbursing money? Are we going to get a new date? When is COVID going to end? Remember, we thought there was a time that the projection was like September 2020.
Yeah.
Like at max. So it's like, okay, we'll push everything back to September.
Right.
It's just been this whole thing. So yeah, that was terrible. But as far as being creative, my graphic business, because everybody's having to learn to work digitally now.
Yeah.
Everybody's working from home. So now everybody's life is assets.
Yeah.
Worked for me. Everybody needed a web presence, web building. Me and my partner, Epidemic, our web business jumped out the window. My logo business jumped out the window.
Yeah.
I do merch for a lot of artists. So a lot of their business shifted from, they compensated from being on the stage with selling the merch for the brand. I developed merch. So from jackets, t-shirts, hats to whatever, jumped out the window. So that all worked for me. So it was a healthy balance of, damn, this sucks, but this is dope. So it was one of those. Now, on a personal note, I discovered a lot about myself. One, I can grow a full beard. Who knew?
A lot of people discovered that. Well, men, not women. Maybe some women too.
Yeah, I'm sure a couple. But the thing was, it was one of those things where I didn't realize how out of touch with who I actually was versus who I've groomed myself to be.
Right.
So going to the barbershop, going to all of these things that create this image that I like to portray to the world. What was the version that the Most High crafted that I never took a chance to look at? Right. Well, I scared myself, but that's who I actually am apparently, right? So this full beard, and I at that point it was like, hey, let's see where this can go, because I had no clue it could happen. You know what I mean? So let's see. So that went really weird because it really went. It went to full beard gang. I was trying to get them to start the Chin Strap Mafia, but they wasn't working with me, so it ended up being beard gang. Then I realized that I really am not a fan of people. Sorry to say that. I thought I was, but I realized that I'm not.
How did you realize that? You felt at peace without all these people around you and the social distancing?
Absolutely. I realized that I had been social distancing anyway.
Right. Some people have said that. Like, I've always been to myself, so it didn't matter to me.
But for me to be an entertainer and for me to be a life of the party kind of guy, I was a promoter for X amount of years.
Yeah.
So I'm throwing huge parties in the city. So for me to go from being this life of the party guy that you would think, it made me look back and say, wait, I If my guest list closed at 12, by 12:30, 1 o'clock, I was in my car. Y'all
Right.
can party till 4. They paid me already. I'm off this. I didn't realize that in hindsight what it really meant until this pandemic, where I said,
Yeah.
I'm listening to the people vent about their concerns about the pandemic. Oh my God, I can't get to the club. Oh my goodness, I can't get out. I can't
Yeah, it's that
socialize.
type of stuff. Yeah.
Now don't get it twisted. I have a cheat code. I have a whole family in my home with me, right? So I'm not alone. So
Right.
I give it to the people that exist alone. That's a different
That's me.
different space, right? So you got to respect that version. But when it comes down to beyond my family, beyond, like, honestly, when I look at the relationship with my kids, my older kids,
Mm-hmm.
I wish there was a pandemic then, because I would have a closer relationship with them than when the streets was open and the
Right.
world was open and I could go and pursue things everywhere else instead of figuring out how to be creative from home. You understand?
Right.
I would have played that different. And if I had a chance to shift the pandemic in my personal timeline, I might have slid it down. I wouldn't have needed it now because I would have learned something then I would have carried
Right.
to now. Right.
But you know,
So
this is so one of the reasons why I have these talks is because what you're saying right now might actually trigger people that have children that are younger at home that may, go crazy from them running around and having to do homeschool. But, something that you say might actually help them, flip that thought about having the kids at home.
hold on. Here's another. I have to be respectful. I have no school-age children. So
Right.
this pandemic didn't mean Zoom schooling and all that for me.
Right.
However, my soon-to-be school-age children are my grandchildren that aren't school-age yet. So I still didn't experience that version of the pandemic.
Right.
So salute. I watch my sister and other people do that. Salute to these people.
Right.
Because I see the challenges that are faced in that space. But I really wish, because I've even heard it from, my sons, like, dude, they just watch me in awe with their kids.
Yeah.
Because they're like, I don't know that guy. like who
Who
are
is
you?
this? We didn't
Who
have
are
him
you?
back then.
No, he was not, because I was so focused on trying to make something out of absolutely nothing. Now I have something to work with to make something
Right.
new. So it's just a less frantic on my part, and
Yeah,
realize
but you know what? Even if you're talking about,
my
sliding
my son just chimed in facts.
the
That's
no, but
hilarious.
even if you slid down the pandemic a little earlier in your life, I mean, this happens now, and maybe you would have not been dealing with it back then the way you would deal with it now because you were a different person, and you
Yeah.
had to make certain moves at that time to provide for your family. So there's even no way to really say that.
Well, that's true, and thank you, because that makes me feel a little better. And hearing the cosign from my son in the let's call it the
Yeah.
Discord, right? Is working for me.
In the comments.
Yeah, in the comments. Let's call it the Discord. But anyway, it's like, yeah, you're right. I definitely was a different individual in that space, and I probably would have been a lot more restless then, because
You have
the world
stuff in place now. Maybe at that time
that I didn't have.
yeah. So
I
it's
didn't
easier
have.
for you now to step into what you already have and flip it into a
Yes.
digital world. At that time, it may have been more stressful because could you imagine having children and you don't know where your next income is coming from or whatever because you're getting thrown in a pandemic. So this is why I'm saying to you, like, and I'm glad that you say it makes you feel better because you were a different person then. You don't know how you would have handled the pandemic at the time.
That's
Even
right.
with your health problems, you don't know what that would have done at that time.
The beautiful part is they weren't there yet, right? So the health scenario didn't rear its head to this magnitude until 2008, right?
But again, underlying conditions. You don't know what if
No, hear me. I had conditions then, right?
Right.
But back then my ailments were all physical from the standpoint of like bone injury, pins, in those spaces.
Right.
Street injuries, right? Getting hurt, running around. Those scenarios as opposed to organ tissue
Right.
at that level. Now I did have markers in my blood, which that's what surfaced in 2008.
Mm-hmm.
My dad passed of the same disease that I have. So technically one of us was going to get it, either me or my sister, and it happened to be me, right? we both had the traits though. So the hypertension and things of that nature, those floated around our space, but one of us was going to get the bag, and it ended up being me, right? Which honestly, the way it played out, I'm kind of grateful in a certain space that it was me, not my sister, from the standpoint that my sister has more small children to deal with if it would have happened in the same timeline, right? So my kids were older and able to help me through it, as opposed to them being younger and depending on me to help them while I'm going through this at that space, you know? So I think, again, the Most High played the cards the best way he seen fit. Like, one of y'all gonna get it.
Honestly, your sister would have handled it as well, because you always know how to deal with things when you're in that situation. We can all sit here and say, I don't know how I would have handled it, but you don't know until you know.
Well, clearly, I'm an example of that, right? But I say it to say, not that I have any doubt that she would have figured it out.
Right.
I'm glad she didn't have to.
Right.
That's right. So, yeah, I have no doubt that she would have, and of course we would have stepped in to help where we could.
Right.
But again, I was fortunate that by the time that it decided to rear its head at the magnitude it did, my children were able to be more of an assistance to me than me having to figure out how to be in these awkward spaces and assist them. So that worked out.
Now, so I want to go back a little bit to you saying that when you said in the beginning, like, you know what, I don't really believe in knowing everything. So you were already equipped with dealing with the not knowing, especially dealing with your health problems. I'm in the same boat. And you talking about, you know, your kids being older, so they're able to help you. I had to go through everything alone, and I didn't have people to take me home from the hospital or anything. Like, I had to take Ubers and stuff like that.
Wow.
So, you know, and talking to, you know, everybody dealing with this pandemic and the changes in the world different, I am alone. Like, what people don't understand is, yes, it's great, I don't have any kids that I have to homeschool, but I also have nobody to help me out. Like, even last Wednesday when I had that migraine, it was killing me. I have nobody that makes my food. I still gotta get up and make my food or not eat. So it's those type of things, like, you know, that people don't understand sometimes, because you only see your own situation, which is also a reason why I wanted to start these talks with people, so people can find, you know, ways to connect, or to see that they're not alone, or whatever the case is, whatever inspiration or motivation people get out of these talks with different types of people who handle things different and have different situations. Because you're pretty much a person with actual health problems that I've had in this, well, unless people haven't really been open about it, other than Mr. Lee talking about, you know, him completely reversing his diabetes with the diets. So that goes into the next question. Like, I'm sure you already were, you know, paying attention to your intake of food and nutrition. Is there something that you changed as far as your health is concerned, mentally and physically, because of this pandemic?
Mentally, I've always been pliable. I've always, you know, I attribute it to being an Aquarius, right? My air sign / water sign, however you interpret it. Either way you look at it, both elements take the form of whatever vessel that it's in, right? So whatever situation I'm in, I kind of take the form of said situation to the best of my abilities, or at least that's my approach.
Right.
So that, you know, what, like, I used to grow up saying, if you like it, I love it. So that was, you know, and don't get me wrong, I have my opinions on things, but if you don't ask me, you won't know. If you like it, I love it. Right? Don't ask me my opinion though, because you might not like it. But don't take nothing off my table. Don't take nothing out of my pocket. So that kind of approach. But at the same time, I had to change everything immediately.
Yeah.
There was things I struggled with as well. There's still things to this day I struggle with.
Of course.
Certain things where it's like, you know what, this is going to be my crux. I'm telling you, it's what it is. I'm just going to have to compensate somewhere else, right?
Yes.
But like potassium, I couldn't eat bananas. I couldn't have yogurt. I couldn't, like, potassium had became a threat to me. Potassium, phosphorus became a threat to me. You don't realize how much of your intake it like houses both of these particular minerals.
You have to really figure out which products or foods have that ingredient. You have to really check everything.
you got people next to you reading labels, right?
Right.
But you're looking for different things.
Yeah.
For different reasons. So I'm looking at the stuff no one really looks at. Like no one really tends to look at the potassium. No one looks at the phosphorus. Nobody looks at the fiber. They normally look at how high the fiber is, not how low the fiber is. They look at the salt and the sugar. That's normally
right.
Or in the calorie. That's normally
for the carbs and stuff. Yeah.
So, and the carb and the sugars really should be the same damn thing, because nobody thinks about the fact that one converts into the other. So that was hard. Then I'm a big guy. I've always been 6'2" and better. I've always been 200 pounds and better, except like after 20 or 22 or so, I hit 200. And once I hit 200, I never went under again. So when you tell me, oh, yeah, you get 4 ounces of meat, like, whoa, 4 ounces.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, it should fit in the palm of your hand. Like my hand or your hand? Which like whose hand? Like
whose hand? Yeah.
Which hand we talk about? Or can we put your hand with my hand? Like what? That became a chore. So my team, that's my family. When I say that, started looking at like, well, let's look at the meal plan option. That became interesting until you realize that you don't have a lot of places to house, these meal plans when you have a home with X amount of people in it. You know what I mean? Like at one point, my house had 3 refrigerators in it. Actually, 5. There was 2 in the garage and 3 in the house. And still there was no room for stuff. Because everyone in my home is like this big luxury projects. It's just private house projects, if you ask me. Because every room has a lock on it and its own refrigerator and its own table box. And everybody kind of comes down, digs in the pots, and then retreats to their own spaces. And then most units kind of cook for their own unit. So we share.
It's an apartment building.
With one address, right? We got one mailbox. That's the only difference. So, even with that said, everyone has leftovers, which then, and then everyone has food for tomorrow that they're gonna fix. So you got the raw food plus the cooked food, and it just becomes a lot, right? So that wasn't really a great option. So then you had to just start only buying what you could eat.
Yeah.
Period. Like just buy what you can eat. So that way it wasn't a problem. So that worked for a while and my levels evened out. The machine helped a lot. I'll be honest. Best diet ever been on with dialysis machine, because people know that it cleans your blood. They don't realize that it also extracts the excess water. Wow. So most of your weight is actually water. So when you go on that machine and they take every kilo is 2.5 gallons, right? So think about two jugs of milk in a half gallon, right? So you got that version, and then you go and pull 3 or 4 kilos at a time, depending on how far you are from your dry weight.
Right.
Your dry weight is your baseline. That's where you should be. So you always want to come in as close to your dry weight as possible. So when you hear people talk about dialysis drains me or it's so tiring or this, that, and the third, that's not because of the blood cleaning. The blood cleaning takes nothing out of you. It's when it has to draw a maximum amount of fluid that your body goes through this real draining space. So there was times before I got the hang of it where I would come in and literally be 4 kilos, 5 kilos over. So when you look at it, that's 10.5 gallons of fluid. And I was just here 2 days ago, So
that's
it took
crazy.
a while before I got the hang of it. I had got hospitalized like 2 times before I got the hang of it, because I was one time 14 kilos over. So now I can't breathe because my lungs started to flood, heart started to flood. I developed CHF, which is congestive heart failure. All of that started to happen just because I had excess fluid.
Right.
That, so your kidney shut down, so you don't.
That's a lot. I mean, we do kilos out here, so you don't have to. Yeah.
All right. So you
for me,
you understand the conversion, but not everybody.
Yeah, that's a lot.
So they don't get it. So they're trying to get you back to your baseline. So they're pulling as much as you can stand. Now the problem with that is the more you pull, the more likely your body is going to seize. You're going to start to cramp. So now your arms are cramping, your legs are cramping. You're in this chair. Now, when you get a Charlie horse or a cramp, your first instinct is to jump up, straighten up so you can not let it lock all the way off. But you have these tubes and needles connected to the machine. So now you're trying to jump up and still be on the, man, listen. So you learn quickly to manage your fluids, which also starts to help when you ask about the intake.
Right.
So I was on 32 ounces a day. That was all I could drink. That included ice. That included if there was an ice cream or anything that melted was, I appreciate you for that. Yeah, so anything that melted was considered fluid. So that was the most challenging part of that because, of course, the summer months are rolling right. I started dialysis in July.
Yeah.
So the summer months are coming. I am parched.
Yeah.
I left dialysis where any fluid I had in my body, y'all took anyway, and I can't drink anything. I'm just chewing on ice. So they say, freeze grapes, which is horrible. The texture is terrible, especially when it starts to defrost. So that was no good. So, it was ice for me, right? So now I'm eating so much ice that it's equating a cup of water anyway.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, man, that was a challenging part. Then the years go by.
I want to cut in real quick because I want to get all my questions done. And what I really wanted to ask is, have you made any changes in your diet since the pandemic? Not since, your dialysis and stuff?
No.
Okay, so because you are already.
That's it.
Yes.
I could only eat what I could eat anyway.
Right. So that nothing has changed. You just have to change the ways of doing everything because we're all in the house and social distancing.
So where the average person is Uber eating or door dashing everything, I'm Instacarting and Amazon freshing.
Right.
Because I'm still cooking where everybody else is ordering.
Oh no, I lost weight. I lost weight since this whole pandemic. I don't stay eating in the house because I don't use as much energy, if that makes sense. If I'm running around outside and, doing all my things that I used to do, then I eat a lot. But when I'm on the couch, I don't really, need a lot of energy, I guess.
I cook and eat for recreation. So yes, I do.
And how about mentally? Because you said you found yourself, you kind of found yourself back to who you were instead of the person that you were trying to groom yourself to be, or however you phrased it. Can you name an example of what was something that you were like, oh my gosh, this is me. I need to stay close to this.
I got back to my artwork. Like, I started off as an illustrator. Like my first real job was an illustrator at a company. The whole carousel of pens and pencils on the desk, the drafting board, portfolio back and forth to school, that whole thing. I went to school for it. So that was my first actual gig. But then that very same job forced me into doing what's called CAD work. So that's Photoshop, Illustrator, and all these digital conversions for production because they couldn't produce the actual sketch work. So at that point, the pandemic, I got back to pen and paper and painting and
I hear a lot of people doing that. They're going back to their actual artistry or their hobbies or whatever you want to call it. And that made you feel more at peace?
We were having no sipping chats, like we the no sipping paints in my house.
Right.
So, that's great. It was, I'm watching Bob Ross videos and trying to
that's awesome.
Trees and everything. Yeah, so that was great.
All right. Well, now we got that part of the pandemic out the way. I'm happy that you feel more yourself and that you're getting the hang of it. Do you think that, let's say the world opens up again. I think this is kind of the new normal now, but let's say everything opens up again. Well, you're in the States, so everything is pretty much open. Let's say we go back to normal. Do you feel like it's going to be hard for you to stay by or to stick to who you are now?
That's an awesome question. But truth be told, I think I've assassinated successfully who I was. Like, I'm just not interested at that point.
Right.
I found out that, like, even now that the world is not open, but the world is more accessible than it was.
Yeah.
Say 7 months ago. I'm still not interested. I have anxiety as they talk to me about the world opening up. To be honest with you, I have high anxiety. I'm trying to figure out, like, when they're like shows, like I missed the stage, like no one can possibly understand. But the truth of the matter is, I don't know how I'm gonna get to it because I don't want to pass the people to get there.
But
like,
you know what? I'll tell you this, what you have learned in this pandemic, especially talking to you and hearing your story and how you've been navigating, you will find a way that works for you.
Indeed, I will.
Yeah.
It'll probably involve bubble wrap or something, but I'll figure out a way. I might walk.
I got so much bubble wrap from all the orders I have from online. If you need some, I'll ship it to you.
I'll probably walk around with an oscillating fan, just blowing air away from me or something.
Or one of those bubbles that you can walk in, like.
Yeah, yeah. And so my friends literally send me videos like that, cracking jokes on me. The thing for me is, because of my regimen health-wise, I literally have almost no immune system.
Right.
Because my anti-rejection drugs are there to suppress my immune system. So me going into the world is totally different than other people stepping into the world. So let's take COVID off the table. A cold for me is still a cold for you is pneumonia for me.
Yeah, it's dangerous. Yeah.
So, I don't know. I just so happen to have a transplant in the middle of a pandemic. But other than that, I still would be treating the world like there was a pandemic because of the rules of my personal engagement.
But this is actually a good thing, because when the world opens up again, if the world opens up again, you will not be looked at as crazy when you still want to social distance yourself or when you want to wear a mask, because now it's kind of like normal and people will understand you're what we call the risk group. So now it's not weird if you don't want to shake a hand or if you don't want to give a hug. Like, that's now kind of normal. So I guess that's a good thing. So you can just keep your distance from everybody, and people won't need to do that in order to work with you or to build relationships with you, because we're now used to not having to do that.
Here's the thing though, the people I love, right? So I am interested and used to shaking hands. I am interested in embracing the people that I care about. So that is a problem for me. You know what I mean? Like, granted, I have to abide by my situation, but that I'm not okay with that part, because I'm not. It's
nobody
not
is.
It's not for everyone, but it's not for everyone, but it's for those that it's for, right? Yeah. And even them, I can't take the chance because I don't know who you gave a hug and a pound to before you got to me. So that part is a little hard, but I mean, I guess you're right.
But people gotta understand it, because I don't mingle with. I have like people on one hand because of my mom. I don't want to put my mom at risk, and I want to be able to see her. So that's something that not a lot of people understood either. Like, I don't want to fuck with you because you be playing out with everybody, and I still want to go see my mom. And that to me is one of the reasons not to do all of that stuff.
But not everybody looks at it that way, and I know because I've dealt with it firsthand with family. Like, I don't even think they realize the conversion of what contact looks like, Right. And they're not. I don't think they mean any harm. Yeah, they don't mean any harm. It's not something they're doing maliciously, but you really pay attention, because remember, before we took for granted points of contact. Yeah, we didn't pay that any mind. Like, and think about it. We're coming off a generation of HIV where points of contact have already been on your radar, right? But each individual you've touched throughout the day touches the last individual you've touched. Right. So every handshake you've given all day between sanitizer, you are now putting that conglomerate of touch on the last person that you touched. He only seen you. Yeah. But he got the germs from 12 people on his hand. Right. It's real nasty if you think about it like that, but yeah. But it's the truth of the matter. So, and forget, the people that may touch and not wipe their hands or wash their hands and pick the nose in their ear or in their hair or whatever that may be. So there are all those versions. So for me, that's how I looked at holding poles in the subway station. Yeah, yeah. Because everyone, whether they mean to or not, that car jilt, they're reaching for the closest stable thing. And you never know the circumstance of the situation. So, like, I haven't stepped foot on a train since March, I want to say like 20th, 2020. I haven't taken any public transportation since January 2020, because when my dad passed away in 2019, he left me the car. And thank you. And I was so grateful for the car, because I would not be able to see my mom. Because now I drive in my own little COVID-free bubble, because nobody gets in there but me. That's right. And that gets me from A to B without getting any risks of, all kinds of other people. That's right. That's right. I see so many great people on the comments. How you guys doing, man? Like awesome people down there.
Yeah, you know what? I have about 20 minutes left, and normally you know how these talks go. So I wanna now we gotta have like a real quick talk about, you know, you in the industry and how you came up, and you're gonna have to like really keep it keep it short. So the first thing is, I know you were like a designer, you're like an artist, you're pretty much the artist in its biggest sense, doing everything. What was the point in time for you where you felt like, oh, I can actually do this and make my living off of this?
Musically?
Yes. Let's talk musically.
Okay, so music. I stepped, first time I touched the stage, I was in the 5th grade. I was terrified. I was told to look at the clock in the back of the room, and after I figured that out, it was over. I didn't want to be anywhere else. I had a bit of stage fright still, so I would sing on the train. I would put my headphones on so I could fake like the music was just so loud that I'm singing over it, but I really was nothing on. And that's how I would get over the spectacle of people staring at me.
Wow.
And then from then I was just a go.
That's smart.
8th grade. Yeah, 8th grade I started my first, I got introduced into my first rap group. I was in my first singing group and got my first published production deal in the 6th grade with a group called Visions, a boy group. That's back when the boys were out. Yep, 8th grade, started rapping downstairs with Chris Marshall and my man Aaron Vera. We started this group called 3D. We were horrible. Upstairs was Lee Majors, aka Babyface Chaos from the Bush Babies, and his then partner, which was my partner, Chris's older brother Dre. They were Chaos and Mass Confusion at that time,
right?
Before the Bush Babies, and we were downstairs sounding horrible, listening to them sounding really good through the floor and kind of wanting to be like them. So from there, it was kind of off to the races. My first real shows were Bush Baby shows that my sister Deb took me to because she used to kind of transport them. So she used to take me to those shows. First time I got to see the world in action. Yeah. I really want to do this now. Then I went to my first lyricist lounge.
Oh, wow.
At that point, I really, really wanted to do this now. Then from there, I just kept going and I couldn't see, there was just no signs of stopping at that point. So
I like that build up. Like I wanted to do this and then I really wanted to do this, then I really wanted to do this. Okay, so what was the moment that you really started actually doing it?
For
you, what was the defining moment?
My first industry was the Black Hand Side video by Latifah. So I went to that video shoot. That was the day I met Tretch and Apache and all these people that, you know, Chip Fu and everybody that circulated around. And then I did this talent show. I won this talent show. It was Ellison Productions in Brooklyn at the Arc, the original Arc. If you're from Brooklyn, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Then that Easter was a video music box. Shout out Uncle Ralph McDaniels. There was a video music box show at the Arc that I got to open as my prize for winning the talent show.
Wow.
There was Prince Marky D and New Power Generation. Rest in peace, Prince Marky D.
Yeah.
There was the Fushnikins. There was Positive K. There was Intro before Kenny passed away. So their whole original intro. And Jay-Z and Fox. And I got to perform and open that show. So that was my first industry show. I lost my whole mind from that moment. And then
that's awesome.
Yeah, I was just off to the races from there. I was fiending for that moment again.
That's dope. For those who don't know, I have a talk with Chip Fu on my IGTV and a talk with Buddy from Intro as well. So you know, circle back to my IGTV, scroll down. There's a whole bunch of people that you may want to check out as well as far as these conversations go. There's so many things going on in this industry before the pandemic, now during the pandemic. This industry is crazy. It's not for everybody. It's not for the weak. You got to have thick skin. There's so many lessons to be learned. And one of the questions I always ask is, what are some of the quote unquote mistakes that you made that turned out to be big lessons that you want to, you know, give out to other people and that you know you're never going to, you know, forget?
Well, I found out young that I'm not interested in the groupie aspect of it. The first real groupie experience I got, I was on this tour with Luda and them. We were at in Phoenix at the Phoenix Suns at the arena where the Phoenix Suns play, the America West Arena, and I was scared by my first groupie experience. I ain't gonna lie, because there was something that my mom had told me when I was young that always stuck with me. She said if it's too easy, you got to ask yourself what she's trying to give you besides her. So at that point, it was so easy and so aggressive that I was scared. So I just never really got into that part of the game. I found out young by some of the people that taught me how to be here that I never wanted to actually be in the music industry. I wanted to be I didn't want to be in the music business. I wanted to be in the business of music.
Right, exactly.
So that was always my mentality. So, you know, what I did wrong was I became a promoter because I thought being in the club is where my record deal was going to be at. I thought being in the club is where I was going to get discovered. I thought being in the club and being part of the scene is how this was going to work, and realized that the biggest release party I ever did was at Supper Club in New York. There's like almost 1,200 people. It's upwards of 1,200 people. We got both floors packed. We already had the biggest Friday night party. We tied this release into it. Back then, I was the spokesmodel for this diamond watch company, Benny & Co. and Joe Rodeo. So they gave me 3 watches to give away during the event. So now, nice. You know, that's when I got the Diamond Prince of New York moniker. So all of this is going on. And then I realized that there was no record to play. I actually had no record.
Right.
I did all of this,
but you had nothing to play.
There's not a record, really. There's just snippets of some stuff I had been working on. At that point, I realized, wait a minute, I got to actually get the work done. And then from there, I locked in on the work, and then I didn't surface again until I had it. So,
I want to go back to the fact that you mentioned you were on tour with Luda with the groupies.
Yeah.
I'm going to share a groupie story with Luda as well, which happened in Brixton, UK,
hold on,
London.
He had nothing to do with that.
No, I know,
Luda.
but my experience with groupies being a I guess a roadie or a person that hung around. I happened to be part of the entourage in Brixton when Luda had a show there, and after the show was done, we went out the back door because that would be more quiet and whatever. We came out and it was insane. Fans were blocking the door, blocking the car, jumping up on the roof of the car, banging on the car. And we were like, okay, this is not working. And we had to like make an escape through whatever secret hallways and to another exit and
right.
Find our way back to the hotel. So that to me was my first insane a situation with groupies that I saw, and I'm not an artist. I was just...
So watch on that same run, right? So this is, don't ask me how we ended up on this run. So we're doing this show, and we're out there. We're on the same flight with Luda, flying in out of JFK, right? So Luda's on the plane with us. He just has way better seats, right? So We're flying in. They have, this is my first experience at this space, right? So I'm with Uppercut Entertainment at the time. We go to do this show. There's a Suburban waiting for us. First of all, the wait, because we bought our promo stuff, right?
Right.
we got our promo stuff, and the wait, I guess, attracted the air marshal. So we coming off of baggage, and there's authorities waiting for us to go through our bags, right? They're like, they must got bodies of guns in there, so they deal with that. So now we come out of there. I'm super humble. To this day, I don't care who knows me. I introduce myself like nobody in the room knows me, right? So we walk out the airport, and here I am trying to figure out where the taxi stand is. And there's like this stretched Suburban waiting for us with like a satellite on the top, and these 2 big security guys jump out, and they're saying our name. I'm like, that's for us? Because I seen Luda leaving something just like this. So now we're in Phoenix, Arizona, by the way. So we get to the same hotel. We're staying in the same hotel with everybody else. I'm expecting they gotta have us at the Howard Johnson down the block, and then the real rappers are over there. They're with them. It was Luda, P.D. Pablo, T.I., Akon, MC Light,
Random.
somebody else and us. Very random, right? Somebody else and us. So here's what made it crazy for you. Number one, the show never happened. We did the sound check, everything. The promoter messed the bag up somehow. The show never happens. So it goes from that to, all right, we're in a packed arena. We did the show. Radio station vans are outside. The whole shebang is going down. Because, of course, there's no way we're not going outside. Nobody knows who we are. We're going to see what this is about. So we go, and we like, yo, it's really about to go down. You know what I mean? The sound check, just being able to tell the engineer, can you turn on the house speakers, and they hear your track bouncing off of 30,000 seats was everything with nobody in the building.
Right.
So I know tonight is crazy. This stage is Olympic size, so I got to jog across it. That's how big this stage is. I'm ready for this. Let's do it. So we get called in. Promoter messed the bag up. Show never happens. But here's what happens. Now, what you don't think about is everybody in the back of the stage, the back of the arena is at the front of the exit. Everybody at the lip of the stage now exactly. At the back. So we see all of these women lined in the front of the stage. It is packed. Like, it looked like they only sold tickets in the first 20 rows to women. So we like, yo, this is crazy, right? Because we're here for the whole experience. This is crazy. So we go and we break out. They brought us in, we had a tour bus for our team, with everything on it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a microwave. We pressing buttons. We look like kids. I had a bed in the back. It's only here to take me to the venue and back. But I'm about to lay on this bed. I'm touching everything.
Just use it.
I'm touching everything. So I rode to the venue in the bed like this. So we get there. They take us under the arena. We get to the show. So now leaving, we're the first ones out because we're the first ones that know it's not going down. We're not trying to be there when they tell the crowd. So it's like,
right.
So us, Petey, Pablo, everybody, we break it out. Like, listen, we off this. So we all leaving. So now we get back to the hotel. Remember, everyone in the back of the arena is at the front of the exit.
Yeah.
Everyone at the front of the arena is the last ones out.
Right.
How'd they beat us back to the hotel?
Yo, I don't know how they do it. They got ways. I'm telling you.
There were groves of women, but
I seen it.
But they were itemized. So when PD popped in, because back then I still smoked cigarettes, so I'm outside smoking a cigarette. When PD comes in, this whole love seat area jumps up and runs to PD. When Luda walks in, the whole bar area jumps up and runs to Luda. Akon, so on and so forth. So remember, I never came inside. We're outside smoking a cigarette because, again, it's over for us. We just wait until it's time to leave.
Right.
Dude, when we walked inside, this little intimate love seat jumped up.
Aww.
And they like, hands. I'm like, y'all know me? Like, I wanted to take everybody because I'm not thinking, like, you can't possibly. So I'm like, I'm buying everybody drinks. Let's just go to the bar. That kind of thing.
Right.
I'm going to run upstairs and come back. So we went changed. I'm talking the whole time we in awe, like, yo, why do they know us? We didn't even get to rap. Like well, it was this whole thing.
I'll do you one better. I have it from the other way around because I remember when, and this is another Luda story, when Luda did his red light district show out here in the red light district. Mm-hmm. It was packed, full of women, of course. It was insane. My little ass had to go to the backstage to say what's up to him because I've known him. We go way back. But so I'm trying to get through security, but everybody's just pushing me away. Like, what is this lady doing here? Why are you trying to get there? And so I had to, of course, make my little text or my call, and people came get me. And when I got backstage, the whole room was like, who is this? And then they were like, let her through. And I'm standing there wanting to say hi to him. And like literally 40 people were standing around quietly looking at us. It was so awkward, but everybody was like, who is this lady? I'm still getting that treatment, but that's really, I'm like, I'm nobody, just go about your business. I just want to talk to him for a minute. And it was just crazy.
I'll give you another funny one. My first and only award show was the Last Source Awards they ever did, right? In Miami. So I had just got my situation with Warner. I'm telling you that because, of course, you didn't know because nothing happened with it. But I at least got to go to the award show, right? So we're down there. The limousine pulls up. Stage manager runs to the car. Who's in the car? Who's in the car? So my manager tells them it's Mic Handz, Warner Brothers, this, that, and the third. It's like, all right, cool. So I forgot that part that fast because I get out the car and the press pit is like Mic Handz, Mic Handz. So in my mind, I'm like, oh, they know me. I forgot she just asked. So
yeah, you're not thinking about that.
And told them this is who's in the next car. So I made it. Mama, I made it. I know those first 10 pictures look like deer in the headlights because I was like I didn't expect
that is hilarious.
So there's T.I., there's me, and then there's Bone Crusher right behind me. So we're coming down. I'm doing what I seen on E. I don't know what to do here. Like, this is a real life red carpet. You know what I mean?
You gotta just
I don't know what I'm doing.
Stop and
so I'm just like, I'm doing this, everything I seen, I'm doing it all. I get down to the head and Vivica Fox is there. She's doing the interviews before you go in. She knows not what to ask me. She has no clue who I am. So she's trying to make small talk. I'm trying to lead the interview. It was the craziest thing. This is the first time I've seen Ja Rule and realized how enormously unbig he was. Like, he was a very little guy in a Yankee jersey. I'm like, that's really all of Ja Rule right there. I was in
You're hilarious.
I'm in fan mode, and I'm also trying to not look like a rookie, right?
You're trying to navigate, like, what stance do I take?
And I'm trying to also enjoy the rookie part of it because it's my first time.
Of course.
So we get inside and we're walking through. Ja Rule people is literally him, Vita, all of them are like right next to me. It's me and my manager and one other person. And then I'm seeing everybody. I'm trying to sightsee without little Scrappy run past me. I'm trying to sightsee without sightseeing. And then they take us under the venue. And all of a sudden, this is my most rookie move ever. And I spoke to Mike Geronimo about this is my rookie season right here. So I ain't know no better. There's all of these sponsor rooms.
Mm-hmm. Oh, is this about the bags?
Oh my gosh.
You told that story. You told that story.
The clubhouse. Oh my goodness. I'm like, I'm taking everything. But you're not
but I'm the same way.
Where are you gonna put it? I got a phone on for 3 months. I'm trying to bring stuff home. I got every pair of sneakers they offered me. Like, the people are running up to me, what's your size? What's your size? I'm just blurting my size out. They coming back with bags. It was the craziest thing. But now I'm in there. Right? I'm in the venue. There's reserved seating for Warner, so I have a seat. I have bags under my legs like an ottoman. I'm sitting here like I'm in a recliner with all of this stuff. Nobody can run because my car has gone. I have no clue where my car is at.
You can't put it in the car yet.
I look crazy. I know I look crazy.
But let me tell you this, though. Let me tell you this. I'm not an artist, but I've been rolling on a lot of tours. And so I'm always like, I'm trying to be humble. I'm nobody. I'm not, this is not for me. But then my artist friends are always like, yo, no, you want to take it? Take it. And I'm like, taking shit, but I'm like trying to see that nobody sees it because I don't want to be that strange lady. Who's she? Why she taking all this stuff? So I learned to take my big bag with me.
That's right.
And if I get permission to take that shit, I'm taking them. Yeah, you know what? Mike Johnson took all the chicken. I take the food, all the candies. I take everything. They're gonna throw it away anyway.
Listen, so once we get past that, they take us to the holding. So here's the Yin Yang Twins. There's crystal pool tables. They are crystal balls on red velvet crystal pool tables. So there's a Scion. There's cars parked next to the pool tables, mini bars, and then there's a portable Burger King. Like, Burger King workers in uniform. I'm taking give me all the Big Macs. I'm taking all that. I'm drinking stuff I ain't never drink before. I just send that. It's free. It's ours. They did that because we were coming. We need that. Like, it was the craziest thing, but it was like, I just didn't want to not experience any of
course. And you know what? It is there for you. So, but we're out of time. So we're going to go a little bit over time because I have some questions from people. Let me see. Let me see if it's actual questions. No, I don't deem these as questions for the last few minutes. Sorry, people.
I know Dennis Kelman had something.
Huh?
I seen something that Dennis Kelman had had posted about the culture.
Well, if he can put it in the question box, we can get to it.
Okay.
But these were just
questions
that you should send him in a DM and not in this conversation.
Okay, I found it.
Oh, you found it?
Yeah. Do you feel the hip hop culture plays a part in an unhealthy lifestyle? I guess that came when we were talking about that kind of stuff. I think everything plays a role in an unhealthy lifestyle. I think your lifestyle is your responsibility. It's not the responsibility of the influence around you. I think everything is a negative influence at all times, depending on how you ingest.
How you apply things and how you navigate in certain situations.
Absolutely.
I have 2 more questions before we wrap this up. One is, you've worked with so many people in the industry. Like, I'm not even going to mention this whole list.
Mm-hmm.
Can you mention one person that you still want to work with?
Yes, absolutely.
Who's that?
So I feel like I was cheated by Rakim because I got put on a record that Rakim is on, but I don't have a Mic Handz featuring Rakim or Rakim featuring Mic Handz. Like, I don't have a record. I just happen to be on an ensemble record that he's on. So I don't feel like I really worked with him. I think Coogee Rap, we had it lined up, it never landed. So that was important for me. I'm never going to get to work with Michael Jackson. So that was on my bucket list since I was born, I think.
But we're speaking things into existence that can happen. So
got it.
Yes.
I mean, honestly, my bucket list doesn't have much left on it, to be honest.
I know, because you pretty much work with everybody. So.
I'm honored in that regard. That's why when people ask me about success in this game, like, it depends on what your interpretation of success is.
Yeah.
I feel successful. Like, my bucket list is almost cleared as far as the people I've created with. I've toured the world and seen some cool stuff. I've done some cool things. I think I did all right. I mean,
you did great. I mean,
this is not where my fortune's supposed to come from.
Right. Success is different for everybody. Not everybody wants the fame and the fortune. Some people just want people to hear their art or, whatever that is, or just make a living off of it.
That's right.
Moving into my last question, and we may do like another conversation at some point later, because we have, you're a great storyteller, and I still didn't get to ask all the questions that I wanted to ask, so we could do a follow-up. But my last question is, if you have an advice or a motto that you live by that you want to give out to the people to inspire them and motivate them, what would that be?
If you can reach it, you can grab it. So if you can see it, it can happen.
Yes.
That's just it. It's never a matter of if, it's always a matter of when, as long as you don't stop. So I truly believe that if you're on a road that has a destination, only way you're not going to get there is to stop traveling the road. But the road ends at the destination.
Yes.
It's up to you when you get there. And see, just to speak to the comments, nature is on my bucket list, but not anymore. We just actually put that on the calendar. So that's not really a bucket list move no more. Like, that's already
good.
on the table.
That's good.
But
Nate, stop crying in the comments. Y'all
that's all love. That had to happen. That's all love. I know. Did that today. And then me and Mike, me and Geronimo, we have something that's 7 years in the making. You know what I mean?
That's too long. Get it done.
No, we're finally.
Time is of the essence.
Life,
in
his life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're doing things, so now it finally aligned again. So we're on.
Good, because you know what? You don't know what tomorrow brings. So we want to hear all the pieces of art that come out of that. So,
but that's definitely it. If you can reach it, you can grab it. If you can see it, you can hold it. It's just the story of my life completely. Like, I'm living testament that I've willed 65% of my existence. Like, even all the way down to my health, I willed it. I can't tell you how or why. You know what I mean? I can't
but that's
tell you
why
how
I said it. That's why I said you will find a way to make things work, because you've been doing that, and you've been equipped in the situations in life. You've been trained in your situations in life to be able to do it quicker, easier, and better. So
efficiently.
Yes, so exactly.
Now, it's like me, like I said, because a lot of that's out the way. Like artists like Lyriz, that's in the comments, one of my artists. working with 11. That's one of my guys that we just put some stuff out. Mr. Fitzwell, Dreddy Kruger, Innocent, my partner, like just making sure that my team, Decaf Black, gets heard. That's the most important for me right now. So just grinding.
Well, I want to say thank you so much for wanting to be an inspiration. Hearing your story prior to our conversation today was definitely something that I can relate to, with, you know, having to struggle through certain health issues and dealing with things in this world and blah, blah, blah. So that's one of the things that I felt like, wow, you know, I can really see where you're coming from. And so that's one of the things that made me really want to get to know you as a person. But I really love the way you motivate, the way you inspire, and the way you make me at least want to do better and do more, because you do everything. And you're also one of the people that reached out to me regarding helping me with some stuff. And I really, really appreciate that, because you didn't have to do that. I mean, that's I'm sure everybody's pulling on you, and the fact that you reached out, that was really nice of you.
It's all love. It's all love. Like, you extended, when I first pulled up into the space where we met on the house, and you guys embraced me and extended yourselves to me and showed interest. That's all I needed. Like, that's all I ever asked for, honestly, in this game. Like, just relevant acknowledgement and a lateral look. You know what I mean? Like, see value in me. That's all I think anybody ever wanted, right? Like, I think anybody in the world ever wanted is just see value in me. You know, and those that, like, if you show me this much, I got this much on supply. That's on tap.
I saw that. That's all
I need. So,
but I'm the same way, and I'm just happy that we were able to connect in this world because of the pandemic, because we probably would have never come across each other's paths. Maybe because we all roam in the same circles, but because of the situation you're in, you know, you may have been staying in your house. So I'm just happy that I got a chance to meet you and know you and build with you. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Well, we'll do a follow-up. Have a great day. Stay safe and stay healthy.
See you guys.
Bye. Yeah, let's see if he can see himself out. Yes, he can. I don't have to tell him. That was an amazing conversation, even though I didn't get to ask all of my questions. I just, you know, sometimes people have such great stories, and you know, I don't want to interrupt them. I apologize if I didn't ask your question. Feel free to DM Mic Handz your questions. I appreciate everybody tuning in on a Friday. I wasn't sure if everybody was down with the program, since I usually do it on Mondays and on Wednesdays, but I really appreciate it. On Monday, next Monday is my next talk. I will have Lord Jazz from Lords of the Underground, if he's still down with it. I gotta check with him. And then on Wednesday, the Wednesday after, I got Keith Shockley. Yes, also another you know, legend in this game. So tune in next week again. I'll be right here. Same pay time, same pay channel. And I wish everybody a great weekend, and hope to see you on Monday. Peace.